I think we are good to go. So really excited for this conversation today. By way of intro, my name is Adam Geller. I'm the founder and CEO of EdThena. And I'm really excited because we have today a conversation with Jim Knight. And Jim, I'll let you introduce yourself.
It's great to be here, and thanks for the invitation. I'm Jim Knight. I have several little positions. I work at the University of Kansas part-time, and I run an organization called the Instructional Coaching Group, and also run a research lab called the Impact Research Lab. And my work focuses on how to improve learning by improving teaching. That's got me involved in identifying effective instruction and school-wide change, but probably most people know about the work we've done on coaching. And in working on coaching, we ended up spending a lot of time on video, and I've come to believe that video is the most significant technological innovation in education in maybe decades, probably since the computer came along. It's extremely powerful and a disruptive technology that has great potential, not just professionally, but personally. So I'm excited to talk about that with you, Adam.
Great. Well, I want to start. I know that you just released a new book called Better Conversations. You've released a few books, but this is the most recent. So we'd love to hear a little bit about that book in terms of, maybe kind of what spurred writing the third book, and how does it differ to some of your prior books? And in fact, I'm realizing I said third book. You've probably written more than 3 books. Just those are I know of 3 that come to mind for me.
Well, the book, I think, is probably my most important book because I think it deals with something really, really important, which is the kind of conversations we have. I think we can't have professional growth in schools unless we've got a setting where ideas will stick, and they won't stick in a place where there's terrible conversations, where it's a toxic environment. And so the book's about that. And 2 big ideas would be, one is that I think when you strive to improve your communications, if you think deeply about what you believe, and then you monitor yourself to see if your actions are consistent with your beliefs, which is what the book's all about, it's a movement towards a truer version of yourself. It's actually a movement towards authenticity. I think sometimes people worry about these communication books, and they think, well, if I try to act a different way, I'm going to look like a phony. But this is about being the real person, real version of yourself. Mm-hmm. And that involves video. I mean, to really know what it looks like when you interact, it's extremely helpful to watch yourself on video and to see how you listen, or how you share positive information, or how you engage in dialogue, how you demonstrate empathy. And it may seem a bit different to watch yourself on video, but I think the smartphone that most people have in their pockets is a secret to a better life, because it can lead to better communication, better conversations, better relationships, and that's huge in school and huge at home.
Well, video feedback and conversations where feedback is the topic kind of makes me want to ask the question. So you've just released the book. What kind of feedback have you hearing? I mean, I know, of course, you involved a lot of educators along the way in developing the book, but have you been hearing back from folks now that the book is out there and they're able to purchase it?
There has been a really good feedback. If you watch the Twitter feed, there's different groups that are looking at the book and studying it. And, look at our time. It's not a time where you see great examples of respect and empathy and communication if you watch the political debates. And I think people are thirsty for humanity, and thirsty for respect, and thirsty for setting up settings where they feel psychologically safe and trust and all those things. So all the response I've got is positive. It's selling really well, I'm told, but I haven't heard much about it. But so far, the big thing is, I think people say, yeah, we need this, but we need to do this not just in our schools, but our society needs to spend more time with empathy and respect and finding common ground instead of fear and hatred and worse things than that.
Yeah, I was just at a conference, and while thankfully the politics weren't on the agenda, it was really interesting to me that folks are coming up to me and they see the work that we do at Athena with video coaching, and they actually are starting to talk, more than just a few times, talking with folks that are talking about, oh yeah, well, here's my Jim Knight book, and some of them even pulling it out of their bags. So I guess draw the line for me between the current book, which really talks about having a framework for conversations. Draw the line between the framework that's presented in that book and the prior work that you've been doing, and then it's kind of laid out in some of the prior books, that it's really, I guess, more tactical in some senses around the process of instructional coaching or the process of using video.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how these things evolve. I'll just share this little anecdote. We've known about the power of video for decades. I mean, back in the 70s at Stanford, they had micro teaching projects, and a friend of mine, Mike Hoke, studied tutoring, and he saw that until the teachers saw themselves on video, the ones that were doing the tutoring, their skill level didn't change. But the moment they started to do a checklist to watch themselves on video, their consistency with the checklist went through the roof. And so we've known about the power of video, and every once in a while a teacher will try it back in say the 90s and the early 2000s. But the trouble was, and it was hard to figure out how to use. Some kid had to show you how to use it, and then you had to take the video tape or whatever it was and put it in some other machine so you could watch it on TV, and you had to sign all these things out. And when you brought the machine into the class, it was really noisy and destructive and wasted all kinds of instructional time. And then when you watched it, somebody else might be watching it. It had to be on the TV. And so people didn't do it because it was too hard. But ever since the smartphones have come along, you just stick it on the wall, up on a bookshelf or something, and you push the red button, and away you go. It couldn't be any easier. And but now it's here. It has huge potential. And I got the idea. I was watching the World Cup in 2006, and I'd always wanted to use video as a part of professional learning, but I didn't know how to do it for the reasons I just said. And they showed Mick Jagger up in the crowd, and he had this little camera. And I was like, oh man, that's really cool. I wonder what that is. And it was a flip camera. And a few weeks later, we bought flip cameras for all of our coaches. Initially, we were going to do them for research, and then they just became a power tool for coaching. So once we started using the videos, we started to get clearer on how do we use it. And so in Focus on Teaching, I really talk about zoning in on very particular aspects of teaching, like instructional time. How much time is wasted? How much time is productive? Or how often do you reinforce kids with positive attention, or is all your attention directed towards kids who are acting up? Because if it is, teacher retention is a strong motivator. You're actually reinforcing the wrong behaviors, and kind of questions you ask and all kinds of different aspects are getting really good at a particular practice. So Focus on Teaching is about how teachers on their own, or teachers with coaches or teams, or principals working with teachers can use video to improve teaching. But as I was doing that, I was also looking at conversations, and I've written about conversations in a lot of other books, and we have people all over the world try out video recording their conversations with maybe their 6-year-old or their husband or wife, or at work and coaching, and they analyze their writing using these reflection sheets that were just to sort of focus their attention. We've got over 1,000 of these forms, and it became clear that people didn't have a very clear picture of what it looked like when they communicate, and also it became clear that they could get better. And we looked at all those forms. It was clear that lots of people were making really kind of dramatic improvements in the way they interacted. So first book is really about teaching and grew out of this process. And as we were writing the first book, we realized there's a second thing here, which is conversations. And conversations is like, it's like steroids for learning. If we don't have the conversations, it's not going to happen. But if we have good conversations, then the learning can take place.